1 minute and 43 seconds of white basic-ass font opening credits on a black background accompanied by my immediate migraine. Also, movie gives Jay Tarsis a full and as credit, as if Coach Finstock was going to be one of pop culture's longest-lasting icons. If I came into this not knowing it was a basketball movie, this opening shot of Michael J. Fox profusely sweating as he pants over me in POV would be very uncomfortable. No, actually, it's still uncomfortable. Also, if you're opposed to the current amount of human precipitation on screen, I'd leave now, because this is MJF's level of moisture for 80% of the movie. Also sweaty also. No referee would allow this much sweat to pool on the ground without having someone towel it off for the safety of the players. Nor would a ref let someone line up for a free throw with their toes on the free throw line. But at least this will be the last basketball sin of the movie, right? Also, this guy's lined up with 2 competing lane violations, a toe in the paint and a foot on the hash mark. And 55 is also standing with a lane violation for having his toe on the line. And the ref continues to say nothing. Okay, now we're done. Wait. Also, again, why is this Dragons player whose responsibility should be to box out the shooter standing in this slot instead of the slot closest to the shooter? Not only does that put him further away from his target, but if this Beaver player is smart, he will just step across with his right foot to box him out and give Fox a clear shot at a long rebound and putback. Damn it! This is just gonna be a basketball sins video, isn't it? None of this movie is real. It's a hallucination created by Scott's dying brain after he slipped into a coma from lapping up all the human sweat from this 1980s gym floor.
There's a lot to learn from losing.
Disney's defense of post-Endgame MCU. These two fight for the ball and both travel several times. And this should have been called a jump ball like 3 seconds ago. You know what? I'm just gonna add some sins so I don't have to talk about the complete lack of care this movie takes with its basketball accuracy anymore. We can't play it, mainly because it sucks, but I need help deciding what's worse. That this movie thinks it's already earned this Chariots of Fire ripoff, or that someone heard the Chariots of Fire song a few years earlier, disregarded the Oscars, and decided it needed more 80s synth. This guy is clearly showering in his shorts, and that is not the way to get clean. There will be consequences for that rash decision.
Hey, Chubb, how's the diet?
The first 6 minutes of this movie have been 43% people fat-shaming this character named, checking cast list, Chubby. This might seem innocuous, but without Jay Tarsis' seminal work here as coach, we probably don't get Donnie Wahlberg's performance in Dead Silence. Something for all of us to think about.
I'm going through changes.
I'm sorry I didn't notice, but I haven't been hanging around the locker room all that much.
Apologizing for not paying enough attention to your students' puberty changes in the locker room.
Coach, I just don't think it's going to be possible for me to play on the team anymore.
Scott hasn't got the first clue what these changes actually amount to yet, so what's pushing him to quit the basketball team? Is Scott aware of scenes that were shot out of order?
Scott!
Oh, hi, Boo.
Movie will never illuminate why Lisa got the nickname Boof, and I know just enough 80s slang to formally request a detailed explanation.
I'm sick of being so average.
In hindsight, it's mildly amusing to hear this line sincerely delivered in one of the most average coming-of-age films to average its way through every average teen cliche in the most average way possible, while also including a werewolf.
I just like my life to change. You know, I don't want to end up working for my dad at the hardware store.
Teenager doesn't want to be stuck in their hometown forever, just doing what their parents did, aka the James Vanderbeek Memorial I don't want your life cliche.
Why won't Pamela Wells say 2 words to me?
You can do a lot better than Pamela Wells.
Like who?
Teenager doesn't realize their true love was right in front of them the whole time, aka the Alicia Silverstone Memorial, as if cliche.
It's broken.
Continuing to blow something 4 more times, even though there was no response the first time. Otherwise, it's known as the thing my college girlfriend.
More sensual, darling. We need to feel you. Want to smell you.
Thinking the one thing missing from a high school theater performance is the lack of odor. 80s sex education failing Scott so badly that he dismisses the sudden appearance and disappearance of hairy hands as just part of growing up, instead of the biological emergency they actually are.
Or maybe you were just acting like a basketball player.
Wait, why is Mick, who was clearly just playing ball for a different school, here? Does this small town have 2 high schools? And if so, wouldn't that game have been much better attended as a local rivalry? And that's before we get to the convenience of him just happening to arrive at play practice at the perfect point for maximum embarrassment.
The boss says I'm to pick up a keg of beer.
This isn't the first movie to do the teen tries to buy alcohol underage bit, but it does do a particularly super bad version of it.
Style. Nice shirt.
If we don't learn by the end of the movie that Scott's soon-to-be-revealed wolf dad has a wolf superpower where he can read t-shirts without turning around and looking at them, I'm adding 25 cents. If we do learn that, I'll subtract these 25 cents plus 100 more and do a video fessing up to our decade-long plan to destroy the film industry. Also wearing a Megalopolis t-shirt. The The score to this movie is complete synth nonsense, and every time it starts, I swear they're just playing chopsticks on my old Yamaha PSS 270.
Now, you just stick this in your pocket like this. All right? You go in there. You don't say anything except, give me a keg, buddy. And you pay for it. That way he can't say you robbed him.
Kids who should not be watching our videos, this is not a smart idea. Now, the movie knows it's not a smart idea, but the character doesn't, and that might trick you into believing this is a smart idea. This is not a smart idea.
Listen, no ID, no goddamn beer. Can't you get that through your thick skull?
Give me a keg of beer.
This works. Now, I'm not surprised Scott got a keg of beer out of this, but I am surprised he wasn't tracked down the following day by an old priest and a young priest screaming, "The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!" Also, who added mind control to the werewolf power sheet without anyone stopping them?
No, they're not. They're not going to.
I mean, call it what you want, but you know for a fact they are at least in the grab-ass stage of their relationship, so I'm not sure what kind of semantic games you're playing here, but you need to stop.
Louis, will you just do it? Kids.
Not only glorifying car surfing, an activity that resulted in many actual injuries and deaths over the next several years, but making it a central plot point of your movie. At least when Footloose did it the year before, Sarah Jessica Parker was there telling everyone what idiots they were. Also, the flashing lights on this bike makes it look suspiciously like an escort vehicle, as if it was intending to control the flow of traffic while filming a sequence for a movie. Scott sees these ears and doesn't make the logical assumption that he's turning into Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. There's no way a high school party like this ever happened in the history of small-town Nebraska. It's like movies think we won't believe the party is real unless every extra in Hollywood is in attendance. Thinking there needs to be counting involved in a good old-fashioned whipped cream wrestling match. Trust me, math never made anything better.
You have to eat this whole bowl of Jello.
Well, what do I have to do?
Hold the jello!
I guess it's lucky she was wearing something on her top half that tucked into her pants so that this sudden jelloing could be contained. Although I'm not sure it's fair to describe anyone as lucky in this situation.
Anything goes, baby, and don't disappoint us!
Thinking that there's anything but disappointment headed your way if you're done in under 2 minutes. Also, Styles is being applauded for this stroke of peer pressure genius, even though this is a show that no one can hear or see. For all they know, Scott and Boof are just standing in a closet in awkward silence, like we, the audience, wish we were.
Promise I won't bite.
See, it's funny because he's the one transforming into a wolf, so it really should be him that says this. And why did this movie not win all the Oscars? Somehow, these two are still whipped cream wrestling despite being counted down over 4 minutes ago. I get it, Michael J. Wolf supposedly used his claws to cut the back of her shirt, but vertically? They were embracing face to face. I might be able to buy diagonal, but get out of here with that straight vertical shit. Also, despite being hurt, Boof never mentions this encounter again, and even continues to romantically pursue Scott. I guess she just chalked it up to shit that horny teens do, instead of why do I suddenly have rabies? Fluffy toilet seat covers. Yes, please put carpet-like fabric as close as possible to the place everyone expels their waste. Can't believe how many people used these back in the day. I even more can't believe how little they were washed. This is the only time in the movie that we will see the wolf transformation happen in any amount of detail, and that is to the movie's credit.
John Howard, this is your father speaking. Now open this door right this minute.
Hearing your teenage son make these noises in the bathroom, and still insisting on seeing what they're doing.
You knew about this and you didn't tell me?
I was hoping I wouldn't have to. Sometimes it skips a generation.
By this logic, Harold is either banking on Scott never having kids or believes that waiting until Scott starts a family will be the ideal time to share their unique medical history. Also, considering how spontaneous these early transformations are, there's really no downside to giving Scott a heads up. I mean, if it skips him, at least Scott will know a bit more about his dad. But not telling him puts him at risk of suddenly transforming at an inopportune moment, say, with a girlfriend. And I think that's going to cost a lot more in therapy in the long run.
Tough night, huh?
Yeah, you could say that. On top of everything else, there was a full moon last night.
We have no idea why that makes it a tough night or why it's important other than full moons mean werewolves.
When you want it, you're going to have great power. And with great power goes a greater responsibility.
Ripping off Voltaire like you're an Uncle Ben wannabe or something.
Did you change your hair? Missed your lunch today, Scott.
This common movie convenience of all our main characters ending up with lockers this near each other.
The twins were abandoned and surely would have died in the wilderness.
Full story, Teach, but the does any of this have to do with, as far as I can tell from everything on the chalkboard, a high school Latin class?
Scott, it's a book.
by Thomas Wolfe.
This is the third class with some kind of wolf reference being taught, and since Scott is wearing the same clothes in each scene, this is probably even the same goddamn day of school. And somehow Scott doesn't spend the rest of this movie trying to expose this obvious conspiracy against his mental health. There's no way by this point in the school day that Styles hasn't been asked to turn his "What are you looking at, Dick Nose" t-shirt inside out.
Oh, that's wet too!
This is an epic wet hallway run from MJ and some of the best physical comedy of the movie. But I can't take a sin off because there's no way that much of the hallway would still be puddle splashing wet if the janitor was doing his job right.
Wait a minute, are you gonna tell me you're a I mean, if you're gonna tell me you're a I don't think I can handle it.
The 1980s.
Can you do that anytime you want?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I just did. But see, sometimes it happens when I don't want it to.
One of the things that rips any kind of stakes or tension out of the movie is that Scott can essentially control his transformation at will. After the first half hour, there's no wondering when or if it will happen. It just becomes a movie about a werewolf in high school where everything essentially turns out great for him. Styles immediately puts his new wolf buddy to work on a mission to sniff out weed instead of freaking the fuck out at the sudden existence of werewolves. I assume on account of all the weed he smokes.
TW, you're gonna be glad that you came to me with this.
The friend that can't help but immediately make a nickname for your alternate monster persona. Premature celebration, the terrible hook shot that clearly missed Left Edition. Sudden Haddonfield.
We just kept walking around the block because our
Parents wouldn't let us cross the street.
Finish each other's sandwiches cliche.
Scott.
Skip. Not nearly enough of this movie is spent exploring Lewis's relationship with Tina and Gina. Wait, why is Pamela here? It made sense in the last game because her boyfriend was playing on the other team. Double wait, what? Why the f*** is Mick here too? We've already established this isn't his school. So why would this gym be their meeting place? Shit. Just so they can be present for the transformation, isn't it? The scoreboard says it's 32-0 with 1 minute and 36 seconds left in the second quarter, even though they literally just tipped off. I have done zero research to verify this, but I can 100% say that is the sound of a motorbike revving up and not a teen wolf. Well, that's just some terrible defense right there. Based on this evidence, I refuse to believe that Mark Holton was the best whistler available on set. Teen Wolf calls a play here, and then dishes to a teammate for a layup. And honestly, if the team knows plays this well and can execute them, why were they so bad before their point guard grew some extra body hair? I'm sorry, we have to address the werewolf ant in the room. The fact that every single person's response to one of their friends instantly gaining werewolf powers is complete acceptance without an ounce of fear goes against everything I've learned about human nature. That gym would have cleared instantly, and no one would have even been around to see him dunk, except maybe animal control.
He feels like a winner!
Remember everyone, it doesn't matter where you come from, who you worship, how hairy you are, the color of your skin, or the points on your ears. None of it matters. You have value and the world will always see that as long as you're good at sports. She's attracted to him more now because he's a wolf that plays basketball. Jesus. She wants to fuck a wolf. The fact that this sudden transformation was a shock and that Scott had no idea werewolves were real means that lycanthropy isn't a common part of life. But how is that possible when the transformation is so unpredictable? You'd think it would only take a couple rogue transformations before this made all the headlines. Unless we're saying that Scott and his dad are the only ones that have ever existed. And we know that isn't true because Teen Wolf 2 will show us Jason Bateman's got it as well. Yeah, that's right, they made a fucking sequel to this shit. Jason goddamn Bateman is the lead. The newspaper makes it clear that only the first game has happened, and they're already planning for new bleachers? Careful not to put the bleacher cart ahead of the wolf horse, Beacon Town. Sweet moves, but breakdancing isn't just about agility. There's legit technical skill in there too, that you surely don't suddenly learn just by becoming a wolf, right? Are we saying that the werewolves 100 years earlier were just instinctively good at waltzing or whatever the f*** they were doing instead of sex back then? The song playing over this victorious montage of werewolf fame is Way to Go by Mark Vaya. Made for this movie is 3 minutes and 47 seconds long, and we hear all 14 minutes and 59 seconds of it.
Elegant.
Advertising your movie's merch in the movie itself.
Wolves aren't supposed to be shy.
I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to be f***ed by horny teens either, but we live in strange times.
Boy, that was nice and warm.
Is he still talking about bowling? We see Wolf Scott go into the shower, but regular Scott comes out, taking advantage of Brad blocking the camera. I'd love to give the movie some credit for a smart bit of sleight of hand here, but I just can't do it. They called this guy Brad.
At least we're winning. I mean, he's winning. When do the rest of us get our hands on the ball?
The irony that is this being the only line this actor has in the entirety of this movie. Scott makes the odd choice of running in front of the speeding bus when all other evidence suggests his goal should be to escape it. It's our second surfing of Beach Boys, and I'll take this rare opportunity to sin these lyrics for being some basic ass shit. Google it. They made millions listing place names. Movie was so happy with this wolfy backflip that it decided to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. You spoil us, movie.
Yeah, I saw. Unless that was another werewolf doing a handstand on top of Styles' Wolfmobile.
The way Harold says woof.
But this Thorn business is my fault.
Introducing some key backstory with only 20 minutes left in your movie.
You take me to the dance.
I thought we just established that.
You, Scott Howard, not the wolf.
Scott will decline this, even though everyone already knows that he and the wolf are the same person. This whole everyone likes the wolf and not me thing doesn't quite make as much sense when everyone already knows Clark Kent is Superman.
You said it yourself. I mean, if I go as Scott Howard, I'm gonna be average.
She at no point said any such thing.
You'll still dance with me, won't you? Even if I'm a werewolf?
Yes, dance with you.
Wait, what the is going on here? Boof said she won't go to the dance with him unless he goes as Scott, but now she's saying she will dance with him even if he turns into a wolf? Does this mean he gets the benefits of dancing with her without the hassle of picking her up and dropping her off? What a win! No one will be seated as the movie turns into a direct wolf parody of Staying Alive for a few seconds. This fade out is so weird. Does he have the power to turn invisible that this movie never talks about? Holy shit, is a future version of him currently in the past f***ing with his parents' first meeting, making him gradually fade from existence? Ah yes, remember 1984 when the wolf dance swept all the clubs? You don't? That's right, you don't, because this whole scene is dumb. Also, no one seems to acknowledge that Michael Jackson made a much more thrilling version of this movie in 1982.
What am I gonna do about you?
Why is everyone horny for the werewolf?
You can't possibly take it seriously. Not unless you're planning on having his puppies.
Cubs, Mick, they're called cubs. If you're gonna make a speciesist argument, at least do it correctly. Earlier, Scott said that sometimes he will turn into the wolf when he gets worked up, so I think Boof should be rather offended that her kissing him had the opposite effect. Wait, I thought in this version of the timeline, George punches Biff, not Marty. This is why I fucking hate time travel in movies. Scott will now catch Lewis's disappointed eyes, as if the movie has been setting up Lewis as the heart of the story all along in his heretofore 148 seconds of active screen time. That's sexist.
Now you've done it.
Done what? Defended himself after being punched in the face? I don't know how any kind of expulsion is going to stand when you've got 100 or more witnesses who will confirm that a 20-year-old Mick, remember, threw the first punch and assaulted a minor on school property.
You're out of here, Mr. Howard. And don't you try this.
Was Scott's dad just standing there all f***ing night, waiting for this exact situation? How the f*** did he know this conversation was going to happen in this exact hallway?
I want you to leave my son alone.
Based on the remorse Harold showed earlier for wolfing out and embarrassing Thorn back in the day, I was expecting some kind of catharsis here. Maybe Harold apologizes for what went down between them, and maybe Thorn would learn that werewolves aren't so bad after all. Instead, the movie decided it couldn't pass up the opportunity to have a grown man piss his pants again.
Look at it this way. No wolf, no wolf, no part. What do you think?
I think the movie wants us to hate Mr. Lawley here, but honestly, it's his directorial vision that's at stake. Having Scott be a wolf as a soldier adds an element of metaphor and cross-artistic thematic depth that Scott can't bring on his own. So I think I have to be Team Lawley here, except for the whole clearly lusting after his students. But other than that,
Do the right thing. That's all I want to do, Styles. That's all I want to do.
you see, it's a huge moral dilemma because he's wondering if he should be himself without the wolf or should be himself as the wolf. Should he embrace who he truly is without his persona, or should he embrace that the persona is part of who he actually is? At least I think those are the questions, because honestly, the movie seems more concerned with whether or not he's going to bang Pamela or Boof. No, you are not allowed to suddenly come in as an active player partway through the game. What do you think this is, WWE? But also, I'd give all the sins back if he pulled a Dennis Hopper right now and stumbled around the court yelling to get the bozo ref some glasses.
I think we can win this. It doesn't matter how we got here, we're here.
Except it absolutely does matter how you got here. That's why getting here even exists. Your team was terrible until you wolfed out. There is no reason to believe that you'll be able to win this through sheer guts and determination when your star player is the only reason you made it to the final.
Shoot it, fat boy!
Because being insulted makes you better at sports. The team that has sucked all season will suddenly start kicking ass, and nothing has changed other than a pep talk from Scott. They're playing the same team that beat them 70 million to 5 or whatever at the start of the movie. Fuck it. I guess they can hear the epic 80s score, and that's enough to push them to victory. Seriously, it's as if they took that magic drink from Space Jam that ended up being water. But in this instance, it actually is magic that gives them the superpower to suddenly nonchalant the ball into the net whenever they please. Movie has now been bad basketball montaging for about 4 minutes, and the only thing I'm learning is that if you want to be truly successful, you have to hide the thing that makes you unique so others learn to love you for the part that is most like them. Traveling, you gotta dribble that fox after 2 steps, my friend.
You gotta get back. Get back.
And by get back, what I mean is stand out of the basket trying to intimidate the shooter as they take their shots, which is something that we always let players do. This movie's version of character growth is that Scott went from not being able to land a free throw to, look, Scott can now land a free throw. And of course, it wins them the game and celebratory orgasm for all, and yay, go sports and such, and aren't we all better people now? The rim is bent, game must be replayed, movie over. This extra with their fly down deciding to end this movie by creating one of the greatest film controversies of all time. What? You haven't heard about it? Fine, let's get into it. See, the urban legend is that not only is this extra's fly down, but that you can see their own private wolf poking out of the cave until they tuck it back in. Family Guy even referenced it in a show at one point. Some guy then did a radio interview claiming to be this guy, and that he was fan number 2 in the credits, Chris Haggerty. Problem is, Chris Haggerty is actually Christina Haggerty, which is the actor sitting next to Pamela here. Then someone posted a full matte version of the scene that shows the person in question looks to be a woman. Still, people persist that it has to be a man. So it comes to me to scour the video for the truth and a better look at who this person is. This is made extremely difficult, considering extras are moved around based on the shooting time and day and hardly ever stay in one place. The only real clues seem to be the red shirt, jeans, and a silverish jacket they were holding. But a closer look reveals they are wearing some red Chuck Taylors. Where have I seen those before? Right here! And they are on someone in jeans and a red shirt. Let's see if we can spot them elsewhere. Here they are, now standing on the sidelines. Chuck Taylors, blue jeans, red shirt, and black hair? Damn it, the person we're looking for has blonde hair. So it's back to square one. Turns out, after scouring the entire crowd from every shot in this game, the only possible choice is this woman, who seems to have the same build, same hair, and is wearing a red shirt and jeans. Which, once and for all, prove beyond a shadow of a doubt one very important thing. Family Guy is always wrong.
Maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.
There's a lot to learn from losing.
Le who? The her.
I can smell that liverwurst from over there.
This is not my locker.
How can I put this? I'm going through changes.
I'm the one going through changes. Do the song!
I mean, what if they say I'm no good? What if they say, get out of here, kid, you got no future? I mean, I just don't think I can take that kind of rejection.
Gotta see your ID, sport. There is no data, only soul.
You knew about this?
Why didn't you warn me? I thought I had more time. You're just a child. I thought if I watched you like a hawk, I'd see the signs and be able to prepare.
What are you doing next?
I'm gonna go to Disney World.
Whoa, Mr. T.
First name is Mr., middle name is that period, last name is T.
You're never going to play basketball again. You know why?
You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker. You remind me of your father when he went here. He was a slacker, too.
Oh my God, the quarterback is toast.